America is facing one of its toughest periods, at least in my lifetime, and maybe other than in the middle of the Depression, that we have in our entire history. And the problem stems from a set of factors. In the short term, we're in the middle of a tough global recession. At the start of this recession, manufacturing workers represented 10% of the workforce in America. But since the recession, they've accounted for 30% of the job losses in America. Disproportionate. Yet, for many families and communities, it didn't take a recession that caused the loss of a plant for you to understand how badly hurt manufacturing's been. They, or you, know about long-term trends, including technological changes, tough global competition, and even the success of the sector in this its high productivity rate that explains why jobs are lost. I remember when they put in robotics in our automobile plants. It was a great thing, made us more competitive, but it cost some jobs. It cost them. There's a lot of transition going on the last 20 years. And families that were able to live a decent wage, wearing a blue collar in a safe neighborhood, affording a home, be able to send their kids to college that they didn't get to go to, have been watching these jobs, a lot of these jobs evaporate. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you that as far as Barack Obama and Joe Biden are concerned, this should not be the end of the story, but the beginning of a new story. We're going to try to rewrite that story. And I'm here today with a great panel of friends and experts who are going to explain to you how we're going to attempt to begin to rewrite the story of manufacturing in America. Let me start by sharing with you the key theme of that new story. There is no reason why manufacturers cannot once again, American manufacturers, cannot once again be the strongest and most competitive in the world. That's the premise from which we start. No reason why our restructured auto sector, as it comes out of bankruptcy, can't once again, in the lifetime of the beautiful young woman I met here, 16 years old, why in her lifetime, American automobile manufacturing can't once again dominate the market. There's no reason why our shuttered factories can't throw open those shutters and allow the light of a new clean, renewable, green energy come streaming through those windows. There's no reason why we can't capture a global market share in wind power, solar power, the construction of a smart grid, advanced battery technology, the nanotechnology, biotechnology, advanced medical devices, robotics, cyber production systems, and other innovative manufacturing goods that haven't yet been thought of. We invent these things. There's no reason why we can't begin to produce these new platforms for economic growth in the 21st century. Every one of these new expanding or potentially expanding sectors is a chapter in the rewrite of our manufacturing story. At least that's our intention. And the characters in the story are many of the folks that are in this room today. Highly skilled workers of the new economy, using the top technology in the world. We've got a great combination here. The people who've lost their jobs are highly skilled people. And the technological advances, some of which you're seeing right here in this factory floor, should be the vehicles, the platform, the springboard, upon which to reemploy those folks into a new economy. That's what we want to get the feel of, is how this rewrite reads. Look around. Go ahead. I'm genuinely serious. What you see here at Willer and Kelsey is a growing and glowing sort of paragraph in this new rewrite of manufacturing, a firm that very efficiently produces thin film solar technology, not just for the domestic market, for export as well. And as I was told today, and I'm not in a position to be able to speak to it because I don't have the authority to, but they believe they're going to have exponential gains in efficiency in the production of this very technology, driving down the price, increasing demand for it, and employing more people. Today, Bill Mitchell's team is about to sign an agreement after this is over with our friends from Thailand, a significant agreement. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell how much, so I guess I won't say it, but a major agreement worth a lot of money This is an American company using technology developed in Northwest Ohio that's shipping an end product to a foreign market. That sounds like the old days, doesn't it? That's the America I grew up in. That's the one that before Scranton hit the skids, that's what we did. That's what we want to do again. We're not about not allowing competition. That's not it. But we believe if we compete, we can outcompete anybody in the world, and that means more good jobs right here in Perrysburg. So I want to congratulate the company, and I know you're probably wondering whether this success story is real, a real lasting theme of this sort of subtext about how we're going to revive manufacturing in America. It's going to take a long time, but that's where the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act comes in. It's a huge part of this story because that act, which the President and Marcy helped get passed, which barely passed the United States Congress, that invests deeply in the very sectors where manufacturing has a chance to expand. Renewable energy, including wind and solar, battery technology, high-speed rail, medical IT, the smart grid. The Recovery Act invests tens of billions of dollars in these sectors in the form of grants, tax credits, loan guarantees, in order to create the much-needed and lasting demand for products like the renewable energy right here in America. That demand helps companies like Willard and Kelsey, hopefully will help them, thrive in a new, vibrant, growing economy. And I've been going all over the country, seeing how this is happening. Look, I've already stressed that key to this new story is the fact that while some parts of the manufacturing sector are contracting, there are a lot of parts that are going to begin to grow. And the Recovery Act is designed to nourish that growth. But who's going to supply those new factories? Now look, small manufacturers that used to supply big industries like the automobile industry are shrinking. They're shrinking. You know, when you lose a job, when the big factory closes and it has 10 people in it, turns out there's been 30 people who had jobs supplying that factory. So it's not just the factory that puts together the product that in fact loses those jobs. It is also all the supply chain. And that shrinking supply chain that does gears, retools, we have to get them in the business of reprogramming, relearning, and ultimately rehiring. It's an important question, how you get these suppliers, who are a very big deal in the industry, into these new industries. How do you help them get there? You know, I think many of us, when we think about manufacturing, I said we think of the big factory at the end of the road that puts the pieces together, churning out cars, refrigerators, turbines, but a lot more folks, as many as 3 to 4 times as many folks, are in the supply chain that provide all the product that goes through that factory gate as the end user factory. And these folks need our help. When the factory shutters, suppliers have 2 choices. They can become a link in a new chain of a new industry, or they can go out of business. But finding a place in that new chain, especially if it's a new subsector, can be a daunting experience. The suppliers in contracting parts of markets don't always know which way to go. They don't know what these new industries are going to be. They don't know how to get there. I used to have a friend who was a great basketball player. He used to have an expression. He said, you got to know how to know. You've got to know how to know. Well, these suppliers who have extremely skilled workforces, significant facilities, they got to know how to know to transition into these new platforms. And even with the right equipment, suppliers can't turn on a dime. They often need to retool existing equipment. And they might still make transmission gears or boxes, but instead of for a turbine instead of a gearbox for a car. And perhaps even learn whole new technologies. That's where this manufacturing extension partnership and its national innovation marketplace idea we're going to talk about comes in. This program, which we intend to take from a tiny pilot to a full-fledged initiative, helps manufacturers figure out what new products they can make and who they can sell them to. It helps connect suppliers who have often depended on one customer for decade upon decade to large manufacturers, get them into new industries so they can become their customers of the future. These suppliers have valuable advanced equipment and some of the most skilled manufacturing workforce in the world. In some cases, all they need is information. In other cases, they may need to craft a new business plan involving new capital, new tools, new technologies. Oftentimes, their workers need new skills. So this national innovation marketplace isn't huge, but it is a new, expansive program. It doesn't have to be huge, because once we help manufacturers get the information they need, they'll be able to take advantage of these new opportunities to thrive in these new industries, which are the future for the economy of this country. By helping manufacturers make that shift from aging industries into vibrant, growing manufacturing sectors, this program is going to help them put them on a self-sustaining path to building, once again, strong supply chains to support this new economy. But most importantly, maintaining good-paying middle-class jobs. So I'm very pleased to have Secretary Locke, who will play a key role in this effort to revitalize our supply chain, here with us today. And I also have Dr. Edward Montgomery, Department, here with me. And today it's my pleasure to announce, in my capacity as Vice President, an executive order creating a White House Council on Automotive Communities and Workers. Ed and this new council are working on the ground to help families and communities that have been devastated by the contraction of the auto sector. And that's an important part of the story, too. Even as we move forward in making the American manufacturing sector the strongest and most competitive in the world again, we can't leave behind those who suffered most from the trouble in the manufacturing sector. We've got to give them a chance to get in on the New Deal, the new game. That's the rewrite I want to tell you about today. That's what the President and I want to do. You know, I'm sure I left out a lot of the plot. So it's a good thing to have such an impressive group of people to fill in the dots, connect the dots here, fill in the spaces.